Welcome to Front Up. I'm Gino Gang. It's a pleasure for me to be sitting in here, and especially today because we actually have somebody from Harrington. I mean, the reason why we like Harrington is because it's that part of Washington County that we broadcast to, that we'd like to see more people from. Harrington, even Cherryfield, all the way down there, down to Winter Harbor even. Steuben. We want all those folks to join us on this show. So Dick Miles is here. He's a Mason and poet. Interesting. You don't look like a Mason, though. Tell me about that before we get into the poetry.
Why?
How long?
Tell you why I don't look like a Mason?
Yeah, tell me why you don't. I don't know. You look. First of all,
well,
you look like you're from New York anyway. You've got the horn-rimmed glasses. You know, you've got this. You know, I mean, you look pretty rugged, but you're not. You know, do you actually still do it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just restored. We did quite a lot of restoration work on the Eastport Library in August and September,
Nice.
and yeah, we just finished a stone boat, a kind of a tugboat-looking stone boat.
Really?
That is supporting a 30-foot flagpole in South Addison.
Okay, it's not meant to float. It's a look of a stone boat.
Right.
Right.
This is quite funny because this is the third year in a row that we have done a stone boat. I've been doing stonework for 25 or 30 years and never did a stone boat before, but there's been one in each of the last 3 years.
Why is that? Why have they become?
I have no idea.
There's
no particular reason. It started actually.
Is it a lobster boat looking stone boat?
The one in South Addison?
Yeah.
It's a tugboat looking one.
Okay.
It's a rather sort of muscular little stubby boat.
How big is it?
It's about 12 feet long and about maybe 6, 8 feet beam.
Is this for a customer or is it for the government?
It was a private.
Private?
Yeah, so by request. It was on some ledge in South Addison. So the client wished a flagpole and could not drill. It couldn't be installed in the ground, so it had to be built up off the ledge. And there was a natural V-shaped area in the ledge that made it possible. It sort of lent itself to a boat-shaped support.
Mm. Interesting. So, are you a writer of poetry or are you a teacher? You write poetry.
Both.
Yeah. How would you describe your poetry?
Well, the poem, right, is the only. I can't.
Have you been writing poetry your whole life?
Well, for many years, since I was in college and undergraduate school.
Where did that inspiration come from?
I don't know. You know, it's not a.
Love poetry? Does it come from?
Well, from nature. I think poems, for many poets, poems are drawn from nature or inspired by nature and by living close to nature.
And where are you from originally? Are you from
Vermont?
You're from Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And which town there?
Arlington, Vermont, in southern Vermont.
Okay. You know, I lived in Vermont when
Where?
I was a kid, in Brownsville, near Woodstock.
Yeah.
My teenage years. And Vermont is so different from Maine, don't you think?
Yes, it is. Well, it's.
How would you describe that difference? I have my own idea, but I'd like to hear what yours is.
Well, we live on the coast, so there's a very basic difference between the coast and the islands and the mountains. I grew up in a valley in southern Vermont, and so a very distinctive north-south valley with mountains on both sides, running north-south. And so it's a completely different orientation.
It's true. Those valleys, and the demographic or the topography
Yes.
of Vermont always lent itself to people not knowing where anybody else's town was. Where's that? I mean, I heard that. You still hear it. Where's that little town? Never been there. They don't go anywhere, but they stay in their valleys.
Well, it was fun. Vermont's small enough and sort of intimate enough in those valleys so that it's possible to cover, go from the Massachusetts border to the Canadian border and easily.
Now, Robert
in
Frost
one day.
hung out around there a lot, didn't he? Isn't that his Western Mass and that southern part of Vermont?
Yeah,
It's real
well,
popular.
he had a home. I think he went from Franconia, New Hampshire to Shaftesbury, Vermont, in the 30s, and lived there for quite a while, not too far from where I grew up.
Did that have any inspiration for you? Did you like him?
Well,
as a-
Robert Frost, of course.
Yeah.
How could he not?
I know. He's terrific.
Yeah.
So how did you make the leap from Vermont to Maine? What brought you here?
Well, that leap was gradual, and there was lots of moving around in between Vermont and Maine. Susan and I came to Maine in 1997 from Denver, Colorado, where I had been living in the mountains, and we got together in '96 and decided, both of us having families back east, mine in Vermont and hers in New Hampshire, we decided to come be closer to them, to those families and old friends. And so we made a rather rash leap. Literally, it felt like a leap.
Yeah.
Somewhat blind leap.
Were you a Mason then?
I had been a Mason for years, yes.
For years, yeah.
Yeah, in different parts
Was
of the
that
country.
tough coming from Colorado to, Washington County, Maine, to pick up and start over?
As a
and become,
Mason?
yeah.
Not at all, because the native stone here is so wonderful that, in fact, one of the reasons we were so comfortable here on moving is that the stone is glorious.
Okay, and so was work easy to find? I mean, I would think that it wouldn't be.
No, it's not easy to
Were you
find.
in Colorado, were you in a city or a suburb area?
We lived in Denver proper.
Denver
in
proper, yeah,
a wonderful, also Hispanic neighborhood. Yes, there's lots of stonework going on in Colorado and the Rockies in general.
Sure, sure.
There's lots of stone, one can pick up.
Right.
In the mountains, we used to just park our truck by a slide. I'm sure this is not entirely legal, but we did it anyway, and just would help ourselves to this wonderful brown granite, and from using that could make most anything, because it was so beautifully faceted, unlike fieldstone.
Right, right. So how are you seeing work right now? I mean, are people, there's two parts of Washington County, I think. There's down there where Harrington is closer to Ellsworth, and then you get beyond Machias here, and then you move up into Eastport and Lubec, and it seems a little quieter up here than it does down there. Are you finding you're finding work, and that people are actually, how's the economy down there going?
It's very soft. There's not a big demand. Stonework is a luxury, really. It's not a stone fireplace or steps or walkways or even a basic retaining wall can be much more economically done in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
That's so labor intensive that it's the first thing to be eliminated from a building project.
Right.
One of the first things.
Right, right. That's true. So you must be good at what you do. Obviously, you're keeping busy.
We have to travel to keep busy.
Yeah.
We get we're invited to bid on jobs all over the country.
Oh, wow. That's wow, that is good.
So we do travel.
Oh, that's terrific. Good for you. Wow, I'd love to see your work sometime. It must be really something.
Now we're updating a web page.
Okay.
And, so
is it going to be just, what would it be? What would the name be for your web?
Milestonework.
Milestonework. Okay. Okay. Milestonework.com. We'll look for that. I will, personally.
It will be ready in a month or 6 weeks or so.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it.
We're putting together old photos that have been scattered. So we need to organize. It's just a matter of organization.
Cool. Now, do you have any poems that you could share with us? Do you have a poem that you could maybe
read?
Yeah.
Yes, I brought a book.
So what do we have here? It's called Boat of Two Shores. Okay, that's a nice looking cover. Can you hold it up so people can see it to that camera? Yeah.
This.
Yeah, Boat of Two Shores. Great.
This
nice painting. Who did that?
That is done by Susan Hammond, the woman I live with.
Oh.
She is a good painter.
Wow, she really is. It's beautiful.
And she helped. It's a pleasure helping each other with our work, and she helped me a great deal with this book.
Wonderful.
It's dedicated to her. And many of the titles in this book, most of them are integrated into the piece itself, so that the first line is the title. It's not the idea being that the title is not meant to attempt to tell the reader what the poem might be about. It's just meant to flow into the process of reading.
So
by the time you find a legal pad and decent pen, steep tea, and sit before the migrating light, you succumb to an inner distance and charged air. A butterfly alphabet, constant and flitting, beckoning and elusive, suspense you must pin. Slowly you fold into a dew asana on your desk. Your breath a golden spire in which you track the butterfly, woo it, ride it.
Really good. Wow. That's terrific. Can you read us another?
If you'd like.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Absolutely.
I haven't looked at these for a while, so sorry, I'm just...
It's okay. No problem. There's something about...
I rather like this one. It's a
okay.
It's a quiet little poem that, though I didn't realize when I wrote it, I think is an ars poetica. We come down from the mountains like water, cold with sore feet, healing as we go. Anthems of night, bronze earth. At dawn, we sit on the end of a dock, stretching into river. A blonde fox who follows sits at the edge of the field, not part of our story, but part of it now.
When did you write these?
This book came out in '07, so they were all written before then. So most of them in the few years before that. A few of them are older. A few of them go back some time. But I think, if the poems in this book cohere at all, it's because I think that the bulk of the poems came from a block of time, in the few years before the book came out. How that can happen.
Oh, of course. That's where your state of mind might have been.
Yes, yes.
Where is it now? I mean, are you still writing?
Of course, yeah.
How is your writing different from what it might have been like based on those two poems now? Is it?
Well, it's hard to say because I don't have really an objective view of what I'm doing now. And I do have I have another manuscript that's at a publisher, and that manuscript, even though it's a couple years old, seems rather obsessive and preoccupied with other matters. That we go through a process, and writing poems. Writing is an aid to work through the process of living. So we might be going through grief or falling in love, or anything, any number of things, so as we change, as we grow and change, it's nice to reflect on that process, and I think that writing poems helps us do that.
So when you, like the first one, you did say in the opening that nature is an inspiration for you. It's obvious.
Yes.
Does it continue to be? And is that one of the reasons why you might have left Denver to come and live on the coast of Maine? Did you find that you became a better writer by getting back maybe closer to, Vermont is a very rural place as well, and so is this. Do you find that you write better when you're...
I'm happier here, and I think one writes better, works better, or one is happier, or more content. I've never been particularly suited to the city life.
Are you disciplined about your writing? Do you force yourself to write, or does it come as all of a sudden, okay, I'm inspired, I got to write it? Or do you get up in the morning like some writers?
It's interesting because I think that the writing or the process disciplines you or one, and it's mainly in order to begin to write, one must be ready to do it, and make oneself available to whatever it is that is going to be written. So it's not a willful or disciplinary thing exactly. You can't impose the product, or the result.
Some do. Hemingway used to stand up and write.
Yes, very successfully, and so I'm only speaking for myself.
Sure. Now, are you published? I mean, do you actually go and do poetry readings and
from time
travel?
to time, I'm invited to do.
That's great.
Something somewhere. I like to read. I like to work with people who I like and respect, and so if I know someone who is teaching somewhere who would like me to read as a compliment to their efforts, then I do.
Is there where are we as far as the state of poetry today?
Generally?
Generally.
It's very rich. There are more people writing poetry than ever in this country.
Is that right? I wouldn't. I thought you were going to say something different. I
No,
thought it was.
no. There's so many good. There were so many wonderful young poets and doing excellent
Spoken
work.
word is so popular
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
another form of poetry.
Yes, it is.
That's
Well,
really
a very
picked up.
important form. I mean, that's what Arthur just said before me was very true. That oral communication is, without the barrier of technology, is vital.
It's true.
And the virtuality is not the same.
So what's your plan for the rest of today? It's a Sunday.
I just got back from the White Mountains, and so I'm in the process of returning.
Take it easy for the rest of the day. Do you have so you live with your partner?
Susan, yes.
And you live in Harrington proper, or?
Oak Point, West Harrington, technically.
Okay. Very nice. And do you have a farm, or do you?
Well, it's turned out to be, it's a small...
I would see, it's just based on what I've heard so far, seems a little like a farm.
We have a wonderful organic garden.
Oh, wonderful.
We don't have any animals except a dog.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a few critters around at some point. And,
Okay. Well, that's the process, right? You can write
we
poems
have,
about
we
them.
have, we have fish.
You have
in
some
the
fish?
water.
Oh yeah, good. I love being up here.
Yeah,
I'm sure you do
yeah,
too.
yeah,
And
yeah.
do you often get back to your hometown in Arlington?
Not
Vermont?
often,
No.
but from time to time, I have family there, and,
Yeah.
and so it's fun to go down. And
Isn't that
see
near
them.
Manchester, Arlington, or no?
Manchester is the next town.
That's
eight,
what I mean.
8 miles away.
That's right. I
that's-
know
that-
the area.
That's where my family
Oh,
is.
it's wonderful. Beautiful spot.
Yeah.
Beautiful there. Oh, anyway, it was a pleasure having you, Dick. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank
Nice
you
to
very
meet
much.
you.
Nice to meet you and talk to you.
You too.